With the skyline of downtown Detroit providing the backdrop, we welcome you to Belle Isle, the scene today of the third round of the 1993 SCCA Trans Am Tour, the Motor City 100. Oh, the field is now rolling. That conversation came just minutes ago. He's on the pole. Bobby Archer's alongside in the Dodge. In the second row, Scott Sharp, the only man who's won at Detroit twice, who's in the field. Tommy Archer won it a year ago. In row 3, the Fords, driven by Dorsey Schroeder and Wayne Akers. In row number 4, Randy Ruhlman and Ron Fellows, who's off to a great start, leading the points with victories in the first 2 events this year. And rounding out the top 10, George Robinson and Don Sack. By us, the green flag is out, and we are racing on the streets of Belle Isle. Baldwin from the pole has the initial jump, and we've got a problem in the middle of the pack. And look at this traffic jam right underneath us here. Randy Ruhlman in car 5, pointing the wrong way, and it's gridlock here on Belle Isle on the start of this race. Risk cars. In the pits, Walter Payton's car was one of those that got severely damaged, both front and rear, and you can see the crew working diligently trying to get him back out for a restart. So the field has now regrouped. Again, Baldwin to set the pace. He's inside in the front row. We'll see if they can safely make it through the first couple of corners this time as they begin to accelerate and look for a green flag. We have the green for the second time at Belle Isle, and once again, it's Baldwin who makes the move. And now look at Scott Sharp challenging. Archer on the outside apparently has hung on for second, and back at mid-pack, everybody safely making it through the start of the race. So we're much better off the second time around. And Jack Baldwin likes his position. He's now on top. Archer runs second. Scott Sharp, the teammate to Baldwin, has taken over the third position. Everybody now breathes a little bit easier, Scott, and they try to get into a race routine.
They certainly do. And as you can see here, this track is very, very tight. It's very tough to pass on. In fact, we were looking at some of the data from the IndyCar earlier today, and you're virtually turning all the time. There's virtually just very little bit of straight.
14 turns on this 2.1-mile circuit. It is smooth. They're not 90-degree corners that you frequently find on many temporary street circuits, but it's tough to pass. And in trouble, car number 16, John Gooding. Now we go back on board looking at this battle of traffic. This is from the backside of Archer, and here comes pressure now. This is, I think, Ron Fellows, who just made a move on Akers.
A good move right at the end of, right into turn 1, actually. Got right up underneath him, managed to work his way by. Again, he was able to get by Dorsey Schroeder, as well as now Wayne Akers, so he's going to be moving himself up.
Fellows was disappointed because he had qualified back in the third row, and in the final practice session earlier today, he was the fastest man on the circuit here at Belle Isle. And now, after playing a patient waiting game, he's starting flexing a little bit of his muscle. Jerry Clinton in the 14 car loses a lap now as the leaders string on by. That's still Tommy Archer, the defending Belle Isle champion, running in that red Dodge just ahead of Ron Fellows. But Fellows is clearly the man on the charge. And here's another one of the Dodges. This is Mitch Wright, who's also found a tire barrier. The 38-year-old driver out of Duluth, Minnesota, having the same fate that was met by Bill Saunders, his teammate, just moments ago. Indeed. Meanwhile, your leader, Jack Baldwin, getting a real grip on that steering wheel. One of the nice things about that personalized grip is you fuse your fingers to the wheel, Scott. I'm told that it takes some of the pressure off the forearms. It relaxes the arms. The fatigue factor not nearly as great over the course of a long race. But right now, Jack Baldwin, we got his mirrors full of Mr. Archer. Bobby Archer in car number 9, really applying some pressure now. Maybe the first time that he's applied this much pressure in this competition.
It certainly is. Maybe some of that steering wheel pressure will help take a little bit of pressure off Archer there. I don't know. He's leaning on him really hard here. Looks like Archer's car is a little bit better under braking. We can watch from the camera view right here, going down in turn 1. Now into turn 2. Little jog to the right here, turn 3. And we can watch Archer. Whoa, Jack's actually spun.
Baldwin spinning around. We were watching out the back when suddenly he lost control. The man who had a race problem here a year ago that cost him a potential victory, now at mid-race, trying to fire it up and get it restarted. We see flame coming out from the exhaust on the side. Now he gets that motor back to life. He'll try to slide it back in the right direction, and we have a brand new leader in Bobby Archer, who was applying the pressure, is now on top, and we'll have to find out how far Jack Baldwin has slid back. Let's reset the field for you now. You can see that Baldwin has slipped back to 5th place. It wasn't quite as bad as we thought it might have been, but still disastrous for Jack Baldwin, who led much of the early going. Dorsey Schroeder ahead of him. As we check through the top 10, you'll see Akers, Robinson, Stevens, Perner, and Derhaag. We're watching Dorsey Schroeder now on the 12 cars. He works the traffic. He is currently in 4th place. He's got one more car in front of him before he has a chance to challenge the 3rd place runner, that of Tommy Archer. So Dorsey Schroeder is making up some ground now. His teammate Ron Fellows had that earlier problem that put him in the pits. So right now the pressure goes on Dorsey's shoulders, but he can handle that pressure. Scott is a former Trans Am Series champion. You know his racing game very well.
He certainly does. The thing that we're going to start seeing now is who's been conserving their tires and brakes and who hasn't. Lap traffic's been a major problem, but if you've been leaning on your tires too hard, it's really going to start coming into effect just about now.
Well, you can see him have to tap the brakes there as he got around, I believe, R.J. Valentine very cleanly, but all kinds of traffic. And we've got a lot of different drivers at a lot of different speeds. You can see the damage on some of the cars from a variety of incidents already this afternoon on the streets of Belle Isle. That's Greg Pickett, who's right now in front of Dorsey Schroeder. The number 6 car driven by Pickett. There is Schroeder. Pickett was involved in that earlier melee that put him a few laps back, so he has not been a factor in this one. But he's still a veteran driver, and he might be a tough guy to pass.
He's always a tough guy to pass. I've learned some valuable lessons from Greg Pickett over the years running together, and he doesn't make it easy.
We remember last year that Greg Pickett put on quite a show because he spun on the opening lap, went to the back of the field, and came up and finished second. But right now, Schroeder has found the line. He gets by Pickett, so he puts another car behind him, and he closes ground now on the 3rd place running Tommy Archer. Back at Belle Isle, I'm Gary Journal with Scott Pruitt and Chris McClure. We're watching a race for 3rd place. You've got Tommy Archer trying to hold off Dorsey Schroeder, and Schroeder has been closing ground. He has now got his next potential victim in his sights. The Ford sneaking up on the Dodge. We take a look from that rear side of Archer's Dodge back at Dorsey Schroeder. Boy, hanging that back end out. You can tell it's a little loose. And here comes Dorsey Schroeder now with the challenge. He may have the room. He's made the pass. And taking over 3rd place is Dorsey Schroeder. Jack Baldwin trying to sneak up on some traffic now. He has Greg Pickett in front of him. And then he has in his sights the 4th place car driven by Tommy Archer. So Jack Baldwin, after that difficulty in traffic when he got pinched into the wall with the spin, trying to work his way back up. You see Schroeder in number 12, Archer in number 3, Pickett down laps, and here is Baldwin in car number 1, moving now to that 13th turn where they slide into the right-hander. A quick little spurt on the throttle, and then they come to turn 14, and the right-hander again puts them on the front straightaway.
Pickett's been running very strong today. We've seen him in this position just a little bit ago. Let Dorsey go by, and then let Archer go by. And now he's in a situation where Jack's wanting to get by, but Pickett actually has enough speed to keep him behind, so it'll be interesting to see what Greg's going to do.
Schroeder was able to get by and pick up a couple of spots eventually, and it didn't take too long. Right now, Baldwin has got that same situation, and here is another car parked up against the concrete. The field on the front straightaway now as we get ready to anticipate the green. The tempo picks up. We've got a restart. Keep in mind, all the leaders now nose to tail, and very quickly, Bobby Archer, dizzy or not, on that throttle hard, and he jumps out leading Scott Sharp. Coming through in the number 3 position is Dorsey Schroeder in car number 12. They try to open up a little bit of distance, and now pressure from Schroeder on the outside trying to make a move. Can he get through? He's made the pass. Dorsey Schroeder has moved into 2nd place. Sharp running 3rd. Jack Baldwin also picked up a position, got by Tommy Archer. So Baldwin is now 4th. And we talked about a shootout, Scott. We've got one. Here's Dorsey Schroeder now taking the lead. How about this? Dorsey Schroeder, who was well back in the early stages of the race, suddenly, for the first time, the new leader and pulling away.
He certainly is, and he can look very dominant here as well. I mean, he's just pulling away from everybody.
Driving a Riley and Scott chassis for Tom Gloy. Dorsey Schroeder, the veteran, out of Baldwin, Missouri. 7 wins in his career in the Trans Am circuit, and right now I'm sure there is an ear-to-ear grin on that face because he is rapidly pulling away from any and all challengers.
A lot of pressure here. Scott Sharp on Archer and Baldwin right behind them, so it's a very tough battle. We're seeing Scott Sharp up the inside, Looks like he may have it.
Well, indeed, Chris McClure talking about the heat problems for Archer, and Bobby now back in third place, and Tommy also with his hands full. A lot of traffic bunched up behind that group. One of the cars sideways, coming onto the front straightaway, but holding on to the position as Archer. Now Baldwin tries to make a run on him, and that blue and yellow Hot Wheels number 1.
Looks like there's a little bit of smoke coming out of the back of that car as well. Bobby Archer may start having a little bit of problem. You see a lot of oil on the back of the car as well as some smoke, so he may be potentially having some problems.
Heavy smoke being reported off of Bobby Archer's number 9 car. Take a look at Robinson once again. They had to rebuild the whole front end of this race car after a big-time crash in the last race in Atlanta, and apparently all of that hard work has paid off.
It certainly has. It looks like he may be having a little bit of front body damage on the left corner, but for the most part, still fairly well intact.
Keeping an eye on the traffic. We're getting a report that the safety car may be coming back on track once again, which if that's the case, Dorsey Schroeder's big lead may soon evaporate. There is a problem on course, and we are going to get a full yellow. There it's being displayed at the starter stand for the second time, a full course yellow that is going to regroup the field. Currently, Schroeder 4.5 seconds on top, so the field has been realigned. Dorsey Schroeder's 4.5 second lead is history. The green flag is back out, and the sprint is on once again. 5 laps to go. Scott Sharp in that bright yellow Camaro right off the backside of Schroeder. Now, after Schroeder got the lead, he was able to pull away. This time, Sharp sticking right off that back bumper, just 1 car length away as he makes his challenge. Canada, 3 years ago in 1990, one of 7 career wins, trying to get a victory here in the Super Bowl of Trans Am competition, the Motor City 100. Right now, this one is very much up for grabs because Baldwin has closed in third. Archer is a solid 4th, and any of them could have a shot at it here in these final laps. We're down to the final 2 laps. It's still Dorsey Schroeder in the Ford number 12. Scott Sharp in the Camaro number 33 running second.
Going to have some lap traffic coming to contention here in a minute.
We have seen a variety of incidents already today as they've had to deal with the concrete and the traffic. It could be a factor on the final lap and a half. Less than 2 laps to go. Dorsey Schroeder, the 1989 Trans Am champion, trying to get the job done in the Motor City 100.
Scott Sharp, Jack Baldwin, Tommy Archer.
Scott Sharp, of course, as we mentioned earlier, has won this race 2 times. The only man in the field who's been able to do so. We've had a variety of winners over the years here, and look at this, a bit of traffic, but the traffic gets out of the way, and the 4 runners slide through cleanly.
What a better way to finish this race off. This kind of a shootout for the finish.
Now they come to turn 12. They'll head for the final 2 turns, and when they come off of 14, we'll have the white flag. Somebody getting out of shape back in the pack that time, but was able to keep it going. It may have been Walter Payton who got back out in his Mustang, the 34 car. Now onto the front straightaway. The white flag will be unfurled this time by, and here they are coming right straight at us. The 4 leaders, paced by Dorsey Schroeder. They cheer them on for a final time as the anxious crews await on the pit wall. 2.1 miles to go. Can Schroeder hang on for an 8th career victory and his first since 1990? Scott Sharp looking for the victory right behind him and a chance to put some pressure on season points leader Ron Fellows. And Jack Baldwin, the defending series champion, solidly in contention in third. It looks like a 3-car battle. Archer has slipped back just a couple of spaces in the 4th position. Less than a lap to go.
Dorsey's making his car as wide as he can right now. Scott Sharp right up behind him, taking a look to a little bit to the right there.
Less than a half second separating the top 2. The pressure again from Sharp. Schroeder trying to hang on. Here's Sharp. He's running out of time and he's running out of options. We've seen challenges made as they come out of this corner around the casino and the Scott Fountain, moving to turn 12. This may be the last opportunity for Scott Sharp to challenge.
This will be the last opportunity. If he can get enough speed off his turn up inside of him, just doesn't look like he can get it done.
Dorsey Schroeder hanging on. He's got the Tom Gloy Mustang in the lead, and he may be stretching it by a car length. Here's turn 14, the final opportunity. And onto the front straightaway, and there is traffic in front. Here's Schroeder now. Will he get to the the checkered in car number 12. Looking for the checkered. He's got the victory. Sharp has to settle for second. Third place to Baldwin. Archer finishes fourth. George Robinson is fifth. So a Ford is in victory lane. Dorsey Schroeder is now with Chris McClure.
Dorsey Schroeder, this morning after the final round of qualifying, you got out of the car happy as a lark. You really hooked it up today.
I didn't do it. Mechanics did it. These guys, I wrecked this car twice yesterday, real bad. They worked till 3 o'clock in the morning and gave me the best car here. Wow, what a day. I haven't won a race in a long time.
Were you having any trouble with the car in the last couple of laps? Kind of a wide line. You got wide anyway.
I wasn't going to give this away if I didn't have to. Scott was running awful hard on me. I was really loose. I wasn't going to let this slip away. Not with 3 to go, 4 to go. No way. It was a good race. I got bumped one little time, and boy, we ran hard. You know, Scott drove real clean. I knew I could trust him to do that. So my hats off to him. He's a good former champion, and there's a lot of fun. This is the best racing there is right now.
Dorsey Schroeder started fifth. Today he enjoys his 8th career Trans Am victory, the first Ford win at Detroit since Scott Pruitt in 1987. We check out the final standings. Scott Sharp in second, Baldwin, Bobby Archer, George Robinson in the top 5. Jeff Perner ends up being the hard charger and the rising star with his best career finish in 7th place. As for the season championship point standings, my, have things tightened up. Fellows now by just 3 over Scott Sharp. Baldwin in the number 3 spot.